Hey everybody, it's me, Kelly, again. I'm going to do video number 6. This one I'm going to talk about how I have flipped some negatives into some positives. Of course, when you decide to work on something, the universe will often give you opportunity to practice. And it's kind of what happened when I looked out the window and my muffler, well, part of the muffler was falling off my car. Just a chunk of it. I'm like, what is this? So I immediately was filled with, fear of, oh, how much is that going to cost? How bad is it? Also, just what is going on? How did this happen? And just all sorts of confusion and feelings that aren't productive. So I took it over to the shop that's really close by my work, and of course they came back with, here's a list of things that need to be maintained, here's a list of things that need to be fixed, and there was a couple of other things, and of course it was like, I don't know, $3,000, but they were super sweet and gave me a really nice list and all that good stuff. So it just brought up a lot of feelings of, oh man, how did this happen? We have a lot of things coming up where I'm going to need the car in great operating shape, and that extra income would go to these fun things, and now the car is freaking out. So I decided that I needed to get started immediately on techniques that I've been using to not allow outside forces or situations to derail me from staying on track, for staying positive, calm, peaceful, feeling joyful as possible, etc. So the first thing I did is I did let my brain run a little bit, and I started thinking limiting thoughts like, oh, we're not going to have enough money for that, it's going to be super expensive, which it was actually. And then of course in come all the other players in my life. So I'm not an expert when it comes to cars by any means, and one of my probably most prevailing limiting thoughts I found out through this exercise is that I don't trust my judgment. That's what I tell myself. I don't trust my judgment that I will be able to take all the information in about what's going on with this vehicle and make the right decision on how to handle it. So also, I have people in my life that are giving me their opinions, and they're applying their limiting beliefs to those opinions. And of course, I was dinged a couple of hundred times with, taking in information not only from the vehicle and the shop, but other people in my life. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but I decided to get to work and pull out my gratitude journal, which actually isn't a handwritten journal. I haven't said this before, but I don't like to write things by hand. So I have a journal online that I keep my gratitude journal and a couple of other journals too within this one program. Anyway, I decided that I was going to write some gratitudes for this situation, and also pause to see what this situation would help bring up to the surface, things I needed to look at. So one of the first things was these limiting thoughts I had, or beliefs, about my judgment, about lack, like if we're not going to have enough or it's going to be too much, etc., etc. And just the stress that it can cause when you have to add tasks to your week that you didn't have already scheduled in to think about. So I started to write, and at first it was difficult. I started with basically just I'm so grateful that I have a vehicle. I'm grateful that I have the means to make the repairs. I'm grateful that when I took it into the shop, that the girl at the counter was amazingly friendly, very positive. I enjoyed connecting with her. I'm grateful that I know that there's problems before I had an accident or before it caused any kind of harm to anybody, etc. Things like that. And then it started going into a more like spiritual thing. Like I started realizing, thank you for allowing this situation to highlight areas of lack or areas of limiting beliefs that I need to work on. So I started feeling better about it. And of course, as it does, you get this great big long list of things that need to be dealt with. And I talked to other people in my life that are going to help me, that help me with my vehicle that I'm so grateful for. That was another thing I'm very grateful for. I'm very grateful for my son-in-law who does a lot of things on my vehicle. So he's going to be able to take care of a lot of the maintenance items for me, some of the smaller repairs, which cut it in half, literally. Well, maybe not half, maybe a third. One of the really big items on the list was under my warranty. So that was huge, 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 huge. So, it's not going to be like $3,000. It's going to be super manageable. It's also going to be able to be taken in baby steps. I can do bits and pieces of these repairs along the way. So once again, everything was fine. My alarmist thoughts that brought in fear and dread and anxiety were unwarranted. They were useless. They wasted part of my day. But actually they didn't, because I got some time to think about how the situation helped me not only get my car in order, but also get my brain in order, get my emotions in order. It also, once again, proved to me that, just take time. Take time to pause, look and see what is actually going on. One of the podcasts I listened to said something that really is helping me to accomplish this a little better. They talked about in their lives how they will often take kind of a step back and become an observer to a situation that's causing them anxiety. It could be a situation or an interaction with a person. It could be something like your car breaking down, or just any other little kind of life crisis, either big or little, that comes over your way, that brings up these thoughts, brings up these feelings. And what they said they do is they'll kind of take a step back and watch the situation unfold as an observer. So basically, kind of almost like a movie. Like you're watching a movie, you're watching the information come in, instead of reacting to it immediately with all these limiting beliefs that you're still working on, because it takes a while to work on all these limiting beliefs. You're just taking the information in, kind of filing it through, kind of calming yourself down as it comes in. And instead of reacting to it immediately, you're looking at it, you're thinking about it, you're sitting with it, and then you realize, no, it's really not that bad. Let's look at, this is how it's presented to me, but there could be another way to look at it. And then take these times to kind of look at it from a different perspective all the way around, which is kind of what I did with the car. At first I was just like, I'm going to have to come up with all that money. I'm going to, have to probably put it on some credit, etc., and pay it off on time. And it's just going to drag out and yada, yada, yada. And I was spiraling a little bit, but thankfully I took some time to flip that around and realize that the timing is fine. It's not going to be as expensive as I thought. I do have the means to take care of it. I do have a vehicle that I do get to drive back and forth to my fabulous job every day, or run my family around, whatever I need to get done. So Also, I got to meet with a couple of people. I took it in today. I was running late because that's something I'm working on. I'm a little bit of a chronic late person. I am sorry to everyone that believes that being late's seriously disrespectful to everybody. I know this, but it's something that I'm putting on my list of things to work on. Anyway, I was running late. Of course, traffic was a little wacky, and I started to feel anxious. I started to get mad at the people in front of me. And then I said, no, you did this to yourself. You started running late, and now you're going to send these bad feelings towards this unsuspecting person driving in their vehicle at the reasonable rate ahead of you. You're getting upset. So just pause, look around, because that's what I've started to do lately, especially in traffic. If I have to wait, either in the grocery store or in the car or wherever, I start looking around. Is there something I'm supposed to pick up around here? Is there a message, or is there something I need to see in this area? You know, maybe it's a little store that may have items in it that I've been looking for, or a place I would like to check out. Maybe something fun. Maybe there's a sign advertising something that would be useful to me. I've decided that that's kind of how I handle that. That's another way I flip a negative to a positive. I redirect my thoughts to focus on something else other than I don't like waiting, because that has definitely been a pet peeve of mine. That brings me a lot of unhappiness and a lot of stress. That's really something I did to myself. It's not anything that anybody else did to me. The universe isn't putting all this traffic here to cause me disruption. It is potentially slowing things down to offer me more time to think, more time to see items that are of interest to me or that will help me with my goals, or, you know, make the timing right. Now, when I did get there, of course, I was apologetic to Jessica at the counter, and she was really, really sweet, and I was really, really sweet back, and there was already a backlog. They were already running behind, so actually it did relieve them a little bit of stress that they didn't have to worry about me being one more person waiting. So it actually worked out. And I responded to her really pleasantly. She responded to me really pleasantly. And then there was a little hiccup. They looked at the vehicle and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't see the problem that you say that you had. And I'm like, well, shucks, I really trust these people that I work with that sent me over here to get my warranty. And so I'm really confused and I'm not quite sure where to go forward. And potentially the old Kelly might have been not as pleasant as she could have been. You just never know. It's kind of a crapshoot on what kind of reaction that I might have given Jessica. But Jessica and I, we worked together. We were very pleasant with one another. We affirmed one another. We had grace with one another. And Jessica said, you know, just a minute. Just 1 minute. Let's have another technician look at it just to be sure. I don't want to send you off, waste your morning, and have you not get the results you're looking for. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate it. You know, I have the day off, and I want to get as much accomplished as I can. Well, what do you know? She came back and she said, yes. We have looked at it a little further. We had another set of eyes look on it. And yeah, we do believe that there is work that needs to be done. And I got this cute little rental car that I'm buzzing around in today, which is another little gratitude point on this whole situation. So I'm leaving this situation while it's not quite complete. I'm leaving this situation realizing that we are given opportunities when these little situations come up to really look at what we're doing, look at our limiting beliefs, look at our reactions, stay in control of our emotions, treat each other with grace and kindness, take responsibility for our shortcomings, like me being late all the time. And it's really it's overall been a pretty good situation. I will be really happy to get everything in order. I have been really blessed that my interactions with people have been really good. I did have some challenges with with certain, opinions that didn't match mine. And I was able to set some boundaries, and instead of tangling up with other people in their opinions and my opinions, etc., I was able to set boundaries in a calm way and test. Do I trust my judgment? I'm collecting the information. I'm looking at it. I'm deciding what is credible, what is useful, what is noise in the background, what is somebody else's projection, etc., etc. And I'm going to make the decisions on how I deal with all these repairs and maintenance items, because I do trust my judgment. I do trust my judgment. And this is a limiting belief I'm working on right now. And in the past, I have made mistakes when I went ahead with decisions that I thought were, just this whole car thing generally. I felt a little pressured with this vehicle when I bought it. Now I realize I think I was. I don't think, while I'm so happy for this vehicle that's falling apart a little bit, this whole situation caused me to go back to when I bought that vehicle, and I did feel a little rushed when I bought that vehicle, and I just kind of wanted to make the situation go away, and I think I needed to be still and thinking about it a little more. Now, that was a little over a year ago when I bought that car, and it's kind of before I started this work of stopping, pausing, analyzing, etc. So it was another lesson I brought out of this situation. And, there's not much I can do about it now. I already have the vehicle, etc. So I'm going to be grateful that I have it. It's actually not a bad vehicle. It's just, I was hoping that it would not have trouble already within a year, but we're getting them taken care of. The car's going to be safe. And there's just 100 different ways that this turned out to be a positive situation, even though at first it seemed really negative. So hopefully that will be an encouragement to others out there that are working on changing negative situations, negative interactions into positive outcomes. There's no reason for us to sit in frustration and discontent if we just pause, take a minute, step back, maybe view the whole thing at a different perspective, look for the positive in the situation. I know sometimes it's really, really hard, but there are positives in every situation. We go through everything we go through in life in order to build who we are. And sometimes it's not amazing, and sometimes it's super serious. But if it causes you to stop and evaluate and make changes within yourself, then that itself is a positive. So there's my little nugget of wisdom on that. And I have this for myself to look back when I am challenged, and hopefully it's helpful to others out there. I'm sitting in my cute little rental. It's a teeny little car in comparison to my big car. And it's nice and clean and new though, so I'm enjoying that. I'm so grateful that I have it available to me. It made this whole process a lot easier. I hope you're having a great day. It is a choice. And see you next time.